Welcome back to the Profits of IT, powered by ManagedProspectingSystem.com, the only system that helps MSPs escape the referral plateau, build consistent, high-quality opportunities every month, and lets you write your own guarantee for us. Today, I'm excited to be joined by a leader who knows what it takes to scale beyond six figures, seven figures, and even eight figures. Brian Strong is CEO of TenHats. Brian's been part of building not one, but two MSPs past the eight-figure mark. He's known for challenging what most MSPs take as gospel, from pricing models to sales strategy, and my favorite that I love about him, when he's not leading teams or refining opportunities in operations, you'll find him on the soccer field, still competing in adult leagues. Brian, why don't you take a moment and say hi to the audience?
Hey everyone, I'm glad to be here and enjoy the conversation from wherever it goes, and just my experience in being in the MSP space, and hopefully it'd be beneficial to somebody else out there.
Well, thank you for your time here today, Brian, and thank you for your willingness to share. I guess I'll hit you with a question right away here. You've seen what works and what doesn't in the MSP world. What's one of the biggest myths you still see owners believing?
So I think there's a couple of them. One of the ones I like to talk about is like the all-in seat pricing, especially for those MSPs that are going to get into the eight figures. I think it's one of those where that there's hidden cost in the all-in seat pricing, and the model breaks to as the MSP continues to grow. As they grow, the size of accounts have to grow, and when those accounts size grows, the economics doesn't quite work for some of um, those different businesses. So you limit your opportunities in those with an all-in seat pricing. I think it works for certain size MSPs. You get up to about kind of 7 million-ish, and then that's where everything starts kind of falling apart from that 7 million mark, which I think is a major plateau in the MSP space. And how do you get how do you get past that? Is like kind of a the reconfiguration of the company, and really, like you're talking about, is start questioning um, the MSP kind of truths, or the what are the norms that most people believe in.
So, I guess that's interesting, you know, uh, aspect of scaling an MSP. What would you say is other conventional wisdom that doesn't hold up?
I think ISRs are another one, like those inside sales reps, cold calling. Calling is if you look at all the statistics, 2 to 3% of cold calls actually close. So what I think too is, like, when you're cold calling, you're not targeting the accounts that you are going to be the best fit for your organization, versus trying to really seek out and find the organizations that are most uh, are in your kind of target audience. And I think building a lead source. We always talk about referrals. Referrals are great, but how do you build lead sources of those different companies that are going to be better for you as you continue to grow? I don't think MSPs really hone in on their average size accounts, and then when they're looking at their target account, they kind of put it in stone. Um, in a they put it in stone, and they don't go back to really re time. So what happens is, as the MSP grows, your target customer account is going to grow as well. So you need to continue to reevaluate that every year, because it's one of those as the MSP grows, there's they call it the long tail, but those small accounts actually become a detriment to the company versus a benefit. They've been with the company for a long time, potentially. But as your costs rise, you only have so much time to spend on certain number of accounts. So it's kind of like one of those, like, would you rather have if you're going to have a $10 million MSP, do you want 400 accounts at, $2,000 a month, or do you want 100 accounts at $8,000 a month? Those are two different business models. So it's,
Hmm.
and if you're thinking in that way, it's, you know, uh, sometimes those accounts that got you there are not the ones that will help you get to that next plateau.
That makes sense. So Brian, you've led and scaled multiple teams. What would you say is your superpower?
So I think my superpower is being curious. I'm very curious. So it's always, and that can kind of go in different ways. Is like I don't have any sacred cows. I'm always looking for how do we evolve the company? How do I evolve myself? What are the lies that I'm telling myself that can't be done? Um, and so it makes me learn different things. So the other side of it too is being curious. I like to delve into other industries or topics or learnings. I had a friend that was into airplanes for a while, and I started reading all I could about really small, single engine airplanes. What I would find is reading about some industry that it's so far from what I'm in. There was correlations back to my own business. So it was one of those is I think those other industries help us get a different perspective on how we can apply it into our business. And then, um, yeah, and just, continuing to be curious on what's the next step? Where do we go next? And, I think I always talk about this from the standpoint of the only thing that doesn't change in the MSP space is things constantly change.
Hmm. Right. Uh, Definitely. So, when we talked earlier, you mentioned a sales venture that was both you consider a success and a failure. What did that experience teach you, and what can we learn from that? What could others learn from that?
So, yeah, so I was in the MSP space, the first one, and then I left it and I started a software as a service company. And I just always had this bend towards, software and software development and being an owner and entrepreneur. I liked the MSP where I was. I was just ready for a next challenge, and I didn't want to go to a competitive. I didn't want to compete with the same people that had helped me get successful. And going through that whole process is, starting a company, there's a lot of misnomers of, I think, you see a company operating, um, and there's a big learning curve from, it operating at a certain level and getting it to operate, have the capacity or the ability to grow it to that level. Managing it at that level is one thing. They continue to grow. And so I think one of it was like I call it the entrepreneur's journey, is that as the startup grew, I mean, the startup was me, and I did basically everything inside the organization, and then starting to have to shed different roles. I went through this kind of emotional um, period of like these roles that I was giving up. I had um, identity built into them from the standpoint that people were coming to me for these different questions and answers, and I was the guy, right? And so being able to shed those and then really start focusing on what I was best at, it sounds logical, but the emotional toll of I don't have that role anymore, um, it seemed like it was like a hole. And so I think all entrepreneurs go through this. If they've started their company, and it's identifying that and like making sure that they get to the other side of understanding that if they do what they're best at, they're going to be most fulfilled, and it's going to be the best thing for the company as well.
So, what's um, got you most excited right now about Ten Hats?
So the most, yeah, that's a great. So, Ten Hats is there's a couple different things that are going on here. We're hitting another kind of plateau, that goes past in the eight figures where, we're starting to have to add a second layer of management. So it's exciting and nerve-wracking at the same time. Like I was talking about, is letting go of some of these roles that we currently have. I do. I'm looking forward to it now, where I would dread it in the past. But it is going through the whole realm of redefining different roles, making sure that all, we have our functional chart, but then also um, um, divvying up different responsibilities that we currently have and placing it on different folks. And that's I'm excited about it because I think it'll get me focused on what's next for Ten Hats. I think we're going to go through it. We are going through a major shift in the MSP. I mean, it's like I said, it never stops changing. But the advent of automation and AI and like moving up the stack, and I think traditional IT of what all of us have kind of been through in the last 20 years is shifting. Once again, and I think we're going to have to, potentially move up the stack so that's all kind of exciting to me is, what I've found too is hiring people in leadership and being able to help them grow in their leadership and seeing them flourish, and putting people in the right spot and letting them do their superpower is
Hmm.
it's become more gratifying to me than anything. The biggest compliment somebody can give me about Ten Hats or is not something directly at me. It's, hey, we worked with Chris and he's amazing, like at what he does. And it's those different compliments of that, we've identified the right person, they're doing the job. That's the success of a leader is putting putting those people in the right spot. And I just that's what fills my tank.
Cool. So, somebody would like to connect with you, maybe learn more about Ten Bears, Ten Bears, Ten Hats. I'm sorry,
I
Ten
like to
Hats.
learn about 10 bears.
Yeah, 10 Bears, like
That's right.
maybe Yogi and nine others.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's too fun.
Uh,
Um,
10 hats. What would be a good way of getting a hold of you?
yeah, so I
Reaching.
mean, LinkedIn is like a great way. That's one area that I try to stay focused on. And so it's Brian Strong. 10 hats is, TEN. It's not the full hats. And but that's one way. And of course, going to our website and they can email me directly. Um, it's at brian.strong@tenhats.com.
Okay.
Yeah, and I love to talk to MSP owners or entrepreneurs or operators that are looking at that. How do I get beyond that $10 million mark? I think one of those, I have a lot of friends that have sold and they sold too early. And one of the reasons they sold too early is the restructuring to get past that $10 million is, it's a lot of work. But having somebody that's been there and done it, and we've done it a couple times, we'd love to share that because we're not unique. We just figured out a formula in how to structure it, and we love teaching and telling people how they might get there as well. I think there's more people that could get there if shown a path. Um, so yeah,
Well, cool. That's really gracious of you for offering. And anybody listening can check the show notes for contact information. We'll include them there. Include that information in the show notes. And well, Brian, it was great to hear talk to somebody with such, experience of scaling two MSPs past eight figures. Appreciate your time and your willingness to share. And for those of you listening that are ready to stop relying on random referrals and start building a predictable pipeline of the right clients, like Brian just mentioned, check out managedprospectingsystem.com. It's built by MSPs for MSPs who are serious about growing and tired of the guesswork. Thanks again, Brian, and until next time, stay hydrated and caffeinated. Bye for now.
Thank you.